everybody. Thank you for your patience. I'd forgotten that last time I turned my computer off, I set it to do its updates and restart. Just anytime you do that, the next time you start your computer, it takes forever. So I apologize. Thanks for being here. I see Triple B is here. Thanks, Jay, for having my back. There are some pretty big releases this week. In your pocketbook will be like, ah, but that's okay. We've been waiting for this one for a while, so let's get after it. The big one. We are going to go in reverse order. I'm going to reverse my books. So Deadpool Batman is not just Deadpool Batman. I had a lot of customers be confused about a couple things this last couple of weeks. One is that they were putting Batman Deadpool on their pull box, and that is not the book that comes out this week. We just assumed everybody understood that we're going to give them both Batman Deadpool and Deadpool Batman, because there's no way that Marvel and DC are going to do a book together that doesn't benefit them both equally, right? Doesn't that make sense to y'all? So this is Deadpool Batman, and then when we get to the opposite end of the spectrum in November, I think, you end up with your Batman Deadpool, and then I'm assuming there's stuff in between. This one is a really fun romp. So I'm going to open it up so I get them in order for you, because there are multiple stories in this book, which I was hoping for, and not all Deadpool Batman stories, just the first one. So the first one is, I'm going to get all the creative teams together here for you. So, it didn't do it that way. Anyway. It did. Okay, so Zeb Wells did the writing, Capullo does the pencils, Townsend's the inker, and Sinclair's the colorist. And it is so much fun, y'all. So just imagine that you've got the smack talking wit of Deadpool. He's full on Deadpool in this, by the way. There's not, you guys remember when Batman Damned came out and they were all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, bat parts. We're not going to let anybody talk about controversial things in his books. Well, Wade can't help himself. He basically accuses Bruce of having shenanigan liaison, whatever stuff with Alfred and Robin and anybody else he could make inferences about. So really the storyline is Wade shows up and he has another target that he's been already paid for, but he shows up in Bruce Wayne's house. And the idea is he's like, well, I thought I'd get another side job while I was here, and billionaires often have somebody they want offed. So who would you like offed? And of course, Bruce is like, you're barking up the wrong tree, Wade. So that storyline has got Joker in it. It's got Joker Venom in it, which is way cool. Who else in that story? I think that's most of it, most of the gist of it. It is really funny, witty. There are some great one-liners. They both of them give as good as they get, and loved it. And then the second one is a really cool, almost like it goes back as if they've already met before. Wonder Woman and Captain America. That's a Zdarsky story. That one is really cool, and mostly it's about how through the ages, since they're kind of like timeless beings, both of them, how maybe Wonder Woman has come across Steve in his weakest moment of wanting to do something that doesn't feel like a very Captain American move, i.e. shooting specific Nazi man. And he's come to her when she's thought about doing something equally as terrible. So I think that's a cool interaction. Then the next story is Jeff the Land Shark and Crypto the Super Dog, which, come on. It's them at the beach / in the ice. And that is 100% adorable. And it is exactly the way you usually see Jeff the Land Shark stories, where it's just animal noises, which is so cute. And then the ones I did not get to because I kind of like ran out of time. This is the last book that I read, and there were so many big things. I'm really sad I didn't get to do them because I would have liked to have seen these interactions. There's a Daredevil and Green Arrow, and I would like to have seen how these two guys interact. I did see that one. I think that's a ratio variant. That one's really pretty. There's a ton of really great covers for this books, by the way. And it looks like there is a Green Lantern and Rocket story. And then there's a Frank Miller, which it is in that crazy, like blocky style that he has been doing for Wolverine. So it is a Wolverine and Batman story, which is great. Those guys have come across each other before. It's just like a 2-page story. And that one I also didn't get to see. But then, wait, what? At the very end here, there is a sneaky couple of pages that I did not notice at all, which looks like a big mix. This looks like I don't know if I should say these out loud. They do even a more mix-up. There's a brand new character. So instead of doing just like Batman and Wolverine, there is an actual 2 or 3 page story where they took to like a Marvel and DC character and did the smash up. Maybe you guys have seen it in social media. I kind of saw it out there. But there's a new character that's been created. So if you like first appearances, this is the week not to miss it. And make sure you support your local comic shop because I'm certain they went in really big and got a bunch of different covers for you. And they're all, like I said, I've seen them a lot. There's a cool Scotty. Like we literally have like almost 2 long boxes of filled with variants. So lots of excitement. I've seen lots of people talking about it on social media. Amalgam was in Man of War, I thought. Oh, Corey, I'm sorry. I didn't see your question. Hey, Adam, welcome. So Amalgam is actually what they're talking about when they do make amalgamations, where they did this back in the, I think this is 90s stuff, where you had a Batman Wolverine character crossover in which it was one character. And then, actually, they gave us 2 of that. And that was called the name of Dark Claw. Thank you, Dark Claw. Will I have variants on Thursday? I'll probably be sold out on Thursday. I'm going to have them tonight during my other show, but I will not have them necessarily everything on Thursday. Tonight. Yeah. I bet you it would be, I mean, Amalgam as a name of a bad guy or a character of any kind does sound really cool. I like that. Speaking of Man of War, woo! Here we go. Okay, so the books that we have coming out now from Valiant/Alien Books give us this new idea of Valiant Beyond, which they say on the bottom of all of them, new origin, new universe, new starting point, which is really cool. It kind of freaks me out a little inside because I'm such a loyal Valiant reader. So is Jay. Jay's way more expert at everything Valiant than I am. I think he and his wife Jenna have got every single poster and standee that there is, including probably the XO. You guys have the big XO? We had it at the store forever. Like he was like kind of our guardian to like when we used to close the store between the game store and ours, we used to put XO up there to guard the space. Hey, Nick. And yes, the art in this is also beautiful inside. So as far as I can tell, it says New Origin, but I read the entire thing and I don't know that it gave him a very specific origin. It's still Auric of Dacia. They actually call him that. He calls himself that. He's on what looks like to be a not Earth planet, which he's done that a lot of times where he's been off planet. I love his adventures when it's like all new peoples and that kind of stuff. This one, does kind of introduce this idea of, he keeps on kind of having this internal dialogue talking about, he says, my queen. And it does actually tell you who the my queen is. Feels a little bit like, Thanos is obsessed with death, but you don't ever see death's face. That's kind of the way this person is introduced. And Auric is basically helping a family type group make its way to some kind of stronghold and trying to avoid this bad guy group called the Punks, which I don't know if it's from any other group. Wasn't there a group called the Punks in Old Valiant? I thought there was. So cool start. Auric is still cut as he doesn't have a shirt on for most of this. I think he's only got the armor on for a tiny bit of it, and I'm okay with that. He's still got his man ponytail, which makes me very happy. That's a good look for him. So I think anybody that's into Valiant will really like this. It doesn't break any crazy ground, but it's got me really hooked with the whole queen thing. Who's that? Yes. They really are. All the stuff has been really good. Even they did a whole bunch where Fred Van Lente did them for a little while, and then it moved over under the extra banner of, I think they're under Massive now, which is just basically distributing for them. Not that they have anything to say about the internal stuff. But this new line of reimagining things has been fine. I'm okay with where they've headed. I've read all of them so far, and I haven't had any of them be like, meh. So give the universe a try. You're Valiant. I know. Anything Valiant, right? Anything Valiant. Huzzah. All right, Flo. Man, this is tripping me all the way out. Hey, Corey. So this book is one of those cautionary tales, right? What if when you were young and dumb and full of piss and vinegar, did something you now regret? So this is about a grown woman and some of the friends that are now kind of having weird stuff happen to them. And a lot of the book is them kind of re-going back in their mind and thinking about what they did at camp that one summer, which is essentially this poor girl that you see on the cover is a homeschool kid, and she's been really sheltered and she doesn't know anything, especially about what might happen when she starts a womanlies. And at camp, she starts her womanlies. And instead of being helpful to her and whatever, the camp counselors tell everyone else, don't tell her anything because we're going to wait till her parents discuss it with her. So she's just left to being I don't know. So they kind of tell her okay, well, this is a bad thing that's happened to you, and you have to appease the gods in some way and do all these crazy things. So anyway, it's got all the earmarks of something really bad's gonna happen, and then retaliation later in life, right? So it makes me very uncomfortable, and no girl wants to think about the womanlies, honestly. Not until it was too late. And it's so cool because the cover actually has them as kids. I'm pointing at the thing you can't see. As kids and then as adults. Adults. Oh, adults. Kids, adults. Same people. I was so excited for Galapol. All right. If you don't know anything about the Galapol, this is Matt Cole's creation. Matt Cole has been doing Galapol for quite a while. He did it under his own banner called Legendary, I think was the company name. And those books are actually worth a lot of money right now because there are a lot of people poking around on this property because it's so sweet. So if you are looking for something very sweet to share with your kids, or just something to read that's not going to stress you all the way out, something that feels like Saturday morning cartoons but isn't Saturday morning cartoons, this is for you. So Galapol is a character who was accidentally created on purpose, I guess, by this bad guy. But Galapol ended up being a good guy. In the last issue, number 2, you met Galapol Girl, who Galapol thought he was the only Galapol person on the planet, but obviously she says, no. There's more of us. There's some kind of gloop that makes them into Galapols. And so this one's really fun because they get to try to decide together whether they're going to work together or not, and try to understand each other a little bit. And then the big bad shows like a whole new baddie, which is a really cool baddie. But then this one gives you 2 first appearances. There's also another character that shows up, and they adopt a dog. So there's a doggy in it too. So enter the Globalverse. Yep. Purple character looks like a Ninja Turtle a little bit. Yeah. I think he's supposed to think about these characters as kind of like being based on like fruits and vegetables a little bit, but secret, like Galopal looks like a grape. He's a blueberry kind of guy. And then one of the new characters shows up, and the new character's name sounds a little bit like raspberry, So anyway, it's just like, like that childhood innocence of just like really this like turtles, getting into some ooze and becoming, ninja experts. That makes all the sense. So that's like this. Super fun. Oh my gosh. I am not understating it by saying I am more than a little obsessed with The Expanse. I mean, when I have a hard time sleeping at night, I literally sit in bed and go through all of the character names as a way of counting sheep. So this will make you really happy, because the people that worked on writing this book, one of them is the actor who plays Amos, who's on the front cover here. Amos in the universe is a very, very damaged character. He had a very rough upbringing. He's an earther, so he was raised in Baltimore. And his backstory is like completely like, it'll just break your heart. Totally break your heart. But it made him very tough, because he had like kind of grew up on the streets and everyone against him kind of thing. So the universe itself is about kind of a ragtag group of people that kind of get thrown together. They end up owning a Martian warship, the main man, a Martian warship that they salvage. And so think of them kind of like the Millennium Falcon crew, in which sometimes there's different people flying, like maybe Lando is, but they've got all of them have got such good characterization, and the science in the whole series is really good. It's based on a set of novels. So if you want to read the novelizations of things, this is great. But this part right here isn't part of the novels at all. So this one's got Bobby, who is the Martian gunny that they end up having on their crew, ends up being the captain at some point. But she's not in this one. And then who else is on there? You still have all the rest of the crew, except for I don't see Alex in the stuff, so maybe Alex isn't there. This is about them going to a place called the Big Moon. You've got the main character going to kind of like they're send him around the universe now, kind of like doing negotiations, because he's famous for doing stuff. And so, of course, as soon as they park on the moon, Amos gets off and takes a shuttle down to the main planet so that he can have some R&R, or as he calls it, B&B, booze and babes. And the adventure starts there. So he is definitely the central person in the storyline, and the little death isn't quite explained yet, except for there's some real big stuff that happens at the very end. If you watch the show or read the books, there's a part that happens in the main series that you all of a sudden think, oh, one of my favorite characters is no longer around, and that happens here. So it does look a bit like Aaron Douglas, but is not that actor. His last name is Chatham. And I've always wondered if he is the way that the character is. But it always happens on vacation. Yeah, pretty much. They never get any downtime, so it would be a really boring book if it was just about him, boozing and babing. Okay. When we last saw Ultimate Spider-Man, it was really kind of a gathering of Peter and his wife, Mary Jane, and Harry, his best friend, and his wife, Gwen. And it's real tense and awkward, because Mary Jane didn't know everything. And now that she knows just enough about what's going on, because Pete and Harry have been fighting crime. And then also Pete and Mary Jane's son, Richard, has been like also doing fight. Didn't 19 hit a while ago? Oh, it's a second printing. Dadgummit, Barlord. No wonder it seemed really familiar to me. Anyway, you should absolutely read this one, because this one deals a lot with Richard being in the symbiote suit, and it's killer. I feel so dumb that I picked up a book that was already out. Thank you, brother.
You know, I was gonna say something, but then I saw that it had a September cover date, so I was like, "Oh, this is probably the right one."
Yeah, so the second print cover has got the actual him raging out with his stuff. I just like the whole discussion that they have in this book, where it comes to a head. Like the book really kind of leaves Mary Jane and Pete, with Mary Jane giving him kind of like an ultimatum of, you have to tell me everything. And it feels very much like she's saying, like, you tell me everything or maybe our marriage is not working out. And that is heartbreaking, because I thought for the first time ever that Pete and Mary Jane were like aligned. So I'm hoping, obviously it's moved past this. It's obviously worked out, but I don't know. I think that it's always going to be super awkward between Gwen and Mary Jane, because, you know, Gwen's really a bad guy. So we'll see. Boba Fett, black, white, and red. Really normal kind of like adventure for Boba Fett. It's really him. He's got a job and he's out doing his job. So I've always loved Venom. You like that one, Corey? Venom's so cool. And in Ultimate Universe, he's also very, very cool. He spends a lot of time talking in like little narration blocks back and forth between him and Richard. So anyway, there's not much to say about this other than it's a really great adventure. Him kind of like, he's been given the impossible task, but it feels like a double do against him. And he's smart enough to get his way out of it, probably. And the art is really cool. It is really all black, white, and red. You've always been Team Gwen, even though she's Mysterio. Come on. You'll give Disney another shot. All right. I've always liked David Lapham's kind of like crime series. This is under Skybound, and he's working with I believe this is his wife, Maria, on this one. So it's kind of nice when you have your people all together and can actually work through what a storyline is about. This one's kind of the way I love good crime noir, is when it happens all in one small town and there's back history amongst all of the characters, and it's gone on for generations and things have just come to a head. So in this one, I guess in this town, there is a woman who built a bridge long ago, or family built a bridge that meant that the town actually survived, kind of being its complete obscurity. But what it ended up working out as, I think that they built it long ago as a way to like smuggle booze. But now it's used as a PowerPoint, right? It is really the only way in and out. But we meet the people that are in this story on the eve of there being a new bridge built, which means it's going to take away kind of her power. And one of the main characters is a sheriff. He's kind of there in the center. And then just like assorted people that are from the town, including grandmas. There's some kind of competition, like a cinnamon roll or baked goods competition, in which everyone's handing stuff off to the sheriff. And he's like, man, I think I'm going to die from eating all this stuff. Which is apropos, because there's something else that's going on. You know that this lady, because of her family and the power that it gives her, isn't going to let this go. So there's all kinds of like who's doing what's and when did they do it. This one's really fun. All right, so I'm going to make sure I got this right. Because one of the Spawn titles this week actually has a first appearance. So I'm going to make sure that I have got the right thing for you guys. All right, it is this one. All right, so there is, in this book, a whole new Hellspawn that shows up. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't think that it's the thing with all the eyeballs around it, because there's another thing that looks a lot more like regular Spawn, like all white back behind, but it still has the same eyes, shape of head, all the rest of his costume looks the same. It's just like bright white light. And then this thing shows up, which I don't know what it's supposed to be. And it looks really cool because it's got like, it makes me think that they're trying to show something that's supposed to be from the heavenly realm, because one of the forms of angels, I can't remember if it's seraphim or cherubim, are supposed to have like multiple sets of wings, but on those wings and all over their body are supposed to be eyes, which no one ever depicts things that way, which is crazy because it's a really cool design. Instead of just everyone just does like a human with one set of wings. Okay, whatever. Use your source material, man. It's good source material. So I think that's what this is trying to be, that the eyes all over is supposed to be, because you can see kind of in that cover, it looks like a little bit like angel wings coming out behind him, even though he's on fire. And that kind of feels like a hell thing. I don't know. I think it's, this is really a cool book. I liked it, especially because when you get to the end, you get new stuff. So there you go. Creep Show has got 2 stories. I'm going to look and make sure. I always keep my books out now because I realize that when I read as much as I do now, which is twice as much as I used to read, I got to have like something to help me remember. Okay. So, yes, 2 stories. The first one is Tale as Old as Time. So really kind of a fun twist on a story where a really sexy lady shows up at a social gathering, and it says that she turns all the heads, even those from people that shouldn't be looking, you know. And she walks right past all of the regular good-looking guys, the young guys her age, and straight to the old man in the wheelchair, right? And then it shows them like, you know, whirlwind, like romance and getting married. And then everything goes real horror and sideways. And then the second story, I gotta look at it. Oh, the little house on the left. This one is about someone who looks like he's like on the run, goes and applies to stay in a house that is like a month-to-month house. And the person that meets him to show him the house is, so that's fine. We're used to having people come and go here. That's great. Just don't go into the shack that's in the back of the property. Well, you know, as horror does, that is super scary. And the twist is really good. It's not so straightforward. But anyway, yeah. I always recommend Creep Show. You can actually read any of the issues you want. They don't build on each other in any way. You can just jump and get one of them, because it's always like 2 stories that are just unique books. I think they're going to hopefully keep going on Creep Show forever and ever. This is issue 1 of volume 4. And then I read Bloodletter because I thought maybe this was the one that had the first appearance. So I was just reading it out of caution. But actually, I really enjoyed this one. So this one deals with a character, I'm going to totally forget her name, but she's got like a lot of like magic's ability. And she's in direct, like, she hates Spawn. Hates, trying to kill him big time. And she does a crazy amount of work toward that end here, and creates a new weapon. You can kind of see it there if you pay attention to what's in the frame. That is a new weapon that she creates using a mixture of parts from her and parts from Spawn. And the way she gets them is kind of gross. But anyway, this one is, if you like to see like full-on battle between Spawn and other beings that are fairly powerful and might be able to stand up to him, I love that they have added magic to the Spawn universe, because before it was just really just like whatever powers people had, it was imbued to them from heaven and hell. And this kind of gives you like a third realm to kind of like mix it up a little bit, which is great. Man. I'm sorry I'm blowing through them. I was like, I thought it was so late that I was going to be messed up by being short on time. Okay, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Casey Jones. I don't know if this is in exact timeline with the regular Turtles book. It feels like it's building on something that happened to him, because when you meet Casey, he's already got some kind of like really bad damage that he is healing from and is supposed to be resting. And he's I'm trying to work my butt off. He eventually leaves the house like he's not supposed to, and doesn't tell April. She's off doing something else. The whole book starts with the bad guys in the town attacking I don't know, it looks like a lizard person. There's way less animal people now around. I think the City at War kind of ended some of that, because remember there was something released, oozed to everybody, and almost everyone became an animal. I think that's changed a lot again. But Casey comes out because the bad guys are then picking on this. I'm trying to think of what kind of like creature that looks like. Anyway, not a human creature that her dad or a family is kind of like into the bad stuff, like one of the bad things, but it looks like she is not. So who's behind the EXP mic tonight? JJ! Drive by in the middle of cooking. Awesome. So anyway, it's really great. Casey Jones. He probably should have stayed home and waited. He probably should have waited. He's gonna tear some stitches. Yeah. I can't imagine you not liking it if you like Casey Jones. And then Flash. I haven't read the last couple issues of Flash just because I can't remember. Maybe Shanice chose them, but I've been kind of trying to like get myself back into it. So in this one, you've got Wally, right? Wally is kind of on the lam. He's got Grodd with him, or Grodd. How do you say his name? Grodd? Which in this universe is not Gorilla Grodd, the big gigantic one, but like a little monkey. But he's got an exposed brain and he has abilities, but he's also terrified of his own shadow. So he's not super useful, but he feels very protective of him. So he has gotten himself into a pickle where Grodd, thank you, where he can't really use his speed because he's so hungry, because he doesn't have any money and he's away from everybody. So there's like a heartbreaking part that happens where he like walks into a store and basically walks right up to the person who's in charge, obviously, and says, "Hey, I really don't have any money, but I'm really hungry. Is there something that I can have?" And that person was like, "Sucks to be you, get out." And then he says, "Oh, I'm so sorry I have to do this." But the problem is that he uses his speed to go gather a bunch of groceries, in which he's still saying, "I'm going to pay you, I swear, whenever I get a chance. Don't be mad at me." But then he faints because he has he used all of his power to like do the run to go grab the stuff, but he didn't have enough to get away. So this one all starts with him in jail, which, okay. And then what's neat is that during all of this, there's like this building storm. You can tell that the storm is really going to be a deal. And the storm is a deal. There's something that really happens to him in the middle of the storm, which I'm not really sure what all's going on, but it's really cool. I'm super excited about it. And also, because I think he's also in trouble because everyone assumes that Barry's dead. And let's see. Oh, there's like a cool guy that's like a bearded guy that comes out of the like storm, another dimension or something. That's really cool. I don't know who that guy is. He needs his own Big Billy Burger franchise. He needs something. I do think it's kind of, I don't know if they've ever addressed that before. Have they talked about that before? That he needs, probably if he's running like those little hummingbird, energy needs, that he probably needs to eat all the time. I always thought that was an interesting thing they did with the most recent version of Spider-Man, that they were like, oh yeah, he's a teenager, plus he's using all his energy up. Of course he needs to eat more, especially if he's going to make any muscle mass. I don't think there's any more, right? That was all of them. Oh, went too fast. See? So fast. There weren't a whole bunch of graphic novels out this week, except for, hey, don't miss out on Exquisite Corpses. There's a lot of people that have had a hard time finding the individual issues because this was like a runaway hit. So here's your chance to get volume 1. Awesome Tynion stuff. Also from Mad Cave, you can pick up the Dark Pyramid. This is Paul Tobin. It is a trade paperback. And also, I cannot recommend it more highly, from Dennis Camp and team. This is Assorted Crisis Events. Each individual issue of Assorted Crisis Events was its own story, and they were all amazing. So if you just like really like cool stories, well told, then pick that up. When my show comes on right after this on CBSN, which is on Facebooks. If you're following me on Facebook, you'll get notification when I go live. And also, here's your chance to get volume 2 of the Ultimates. It's so weird. I ordered Ultimates volume 1 like half a year ago, and I've still never gotten restocked on volume 1. So I don't know. Maybe they just never got more in. Okay. And this one was also very popular. It's funny because it's not a character that I associate with the Savage Land, but it's Tim Seeley writing it, so of course it's awesome. This is Rogue, the Savage Land. Volume 1 trade paperback is available. Oh. And then you can grab up Green Arrow Freshwater Kills. This is a volume 4 book. That drops. And last but not least, I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff. Oh, there is another thing. Ice Cream Man. This is volume 11. And just like the other books I've been talking about, Ice Cream Man is a full of like single drop stories. So you don't need to know anything. The Ice Cream Man himself is just more like the creep show like host. He doesn't necessarily ever have anything to do with the stories. And I feel real dumb. I would have liked to have read this one. I don't think this is a second print. I'm going to check now that I've been such a dummy. Yeah. I would have read this one for review, but I missed it because it was a weird size. So the Batman Second Night by Dan Jurgens drops today. It drops tomorrow also. Sorry I missed it, y'all. And then there's another chance. Nope, that's probably for Batman Day. That's all I got. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm sorry I'm ending a little bit early to give you a chance to go drink some water and do some stretching exercises. Next week, I'll make sure my computer's been updated or whatever it does and have it all logged in, and I won't talk a million miles an hour. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you. Bye.